McKay Allen. I'm the Inbound Marketing Manager at Log My Calls, and we're excited you're here today. We've got a really exciting and special webinar here this week before Christmas, 7 days before Christmas, everybody. With Michael Fleischner and Greg Caesar, they've agreed to join us and have prepared a great presentation today. First, I just want to set the scene a little bit, tell you about our webinar series, who we are, and how it works, how this webinar series works. So first, Log My Calls is a marketing analytics and call tracking solution. So basically, we can tell you which advertising, campaigns, keywords, etc. are producing phone calls for you and which aren't. And then also, we just launched a tool called Conversation Analytics, which actually analyzes the content of phone calls. So it can actually tell you what happened on the call using speech recognition technology and a lot of algorithms. It can tell you whether or not a lead was a good lead, whether a lead purchased, whether they made an appointment, and even if it was a missed opportunity on the phone call, all based on the keywords and phrases actually said on the call. And then a little bit about our webinar series. Oh, one thing I should mention, too, that's on your screen right there is if you sign up for Log My Calls this month, you actually get a free Kindle Fire HD, which is cool. So sign up now in December. If you're thinking of it at all, it's good to sign up now. And then a little bit about our webinar series. We launched our webinar series about a year ago. Michael Fleischner was actually one of the first guests we had. And it's blossomed into something that's really cool. So we do 1 to 2 webinars a week. We've had really good guests. Content's incredible. You can see our upcoming webinars here on logmycalls.com/webinar. That'll just reroute us to webinar series. But /webinar. As you see today, the webinar with Michael. And then we have a webinar with Tim Ash tomorrow, who's the founder of Conversion Conference. There's about 400 people signed up for that already. And then we have the recordings of all of our past webinars here that you don't even need to fill out a form to watch. So whatever you're interested in, I promise you, you can find a webinar topic that we've addressed on our webinar series. So come to logmycalls.com/webinar and watch these webinars. 2 more quick items before we get started. The webinar is being recorded, so we encourage you to send that recording when we send it to you tomorrow morning, to send that recording to people in your company, to share it online via social media, etc. And then finally, if you have questions today, just write those into the little questions panel, and we will make sure and address those. Michael and Greg will as we go through today's webinar. So with that, I want to introduce today's speakers. Michael Fleischner, you can see his picture here. He's appeared on the Today Show. He's written several best-selling books on SEO. And we're really excited that he's agreed to join us today. The topic of today's discussion is how to dominate local search and build a powerful reputation. And he's going to be joined by Greg Caesar, who we've also had as a guest presenter on the webinar series. Greg is one of the most well-known marketers, I would say, across the country. And so we're really excited that they've both agreed to join us today. Michael, I'm going to give you control of the screen here, and I'm going to make sure I can hear both you and Greg. You there, Michael?
I am. How you doing, McKay?
Awesome. So let me just make sure that we can hear Greg as well. Greg, can you talk, sir? Can we hear you?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly. So that's good. We can hear both of you. That's fantastic. So thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. I'll turn the floor over to you. And as we get questions, everybody, if it's really urgent or critical, I may interrupt Greg and Michael to ask them. Otherwise, we'll just wait till the end, and I'll address all the questions to them at that point. So, gentlemen, thanks again for being here, and go ahead.
Great. Thanks so much, McKay. And Greg, thanks for joining us today. What we're going to be talking about is how to dominate local search and build a positive reputation. And this is a project that Greg Caesar and I have really partnered on, and we're working towards just because of the demand, especially as of late, as it relates to local search and building a positive reputation online. So we have a lot of information to provide to everyone, and we're going to go relatively quickly. As McKay had mentioned, this will be recorded, and I would like to certainly give a shout-out to McKay and Log My Call. If you guys haven't checked out their technology, you definitely have to give it a second look. It's pretty fantastic, and the folks over there are just good people. So be sure to check that out as well. McKay did introduce me. I've written a number of books on search engine optimization, blogging, social media, things of that nature, and have been fortunate enough to be able to talk about that on the world stage. But at the end of the day, I really love working with small and medium-sized businesses, as well as some large businesses as well, to help them look better online. My company, Upward SEO, is really focused around search optimization, digital marketing, things of that nature. And my latest venture, Placed Local with Greg, is really focused on, optimizing your website, your brand, all around local search, which we're going to be spending the next hour talking about. Greg, if you guys don't know Greg, you should. He is really one of the foremost experts around internet marketing in general. I like to say, Greg, you've been on the circuit for a long time, even though you're such a young guy. And, Greg has spoken really all over the world about internet marketing and how to improve marketing results. He's the founder of a number of companies, Deal Site Profits, Marketing with Classifieds, as well as First Advantage Solutions. And Greg is going to join me on this call and really talk about this phenomenon around local search and how it's changing SEO so significantly, and also the second component piece, which is really reputation. So, Greg, I don't know if you have anything to add there.
Well, you did such a great job. There's just not much I can add to make it any better.
That's too funny. So anyway, you know what? Let's go ahead. We're going to dive in, and Greg and I know each other obviously from being in internet marketing circles together. But I think one of the things that we generally focus on, whether it's his clients, my clients, or our clients together, is how to help companies improve sales. Because we talk about local search, we talk about paid search, we talk about all these marketing initiatives, and at the end of the day, what is it about? Filling your pipeline with the right people to bring on as customers. And today we're going to talk about why you're potentially losing sales to your competitors, what you need to do right now, today, as soon as you get off this webinar to get noticed for your business and increase sales, and really how to take control of your message and even get customers to do the selling for you. And finally, how do you automate that process in a way that you have transparency, you know what's working, what's not working, and most importantly, frees up your time to focus on other activities. Here's the question: why are you here today? And I think that many of us, whether you're a large business, a small business, perhaps a business owner, or someone, let's say, in sales or marketing for a company, the reality is that your business needs to get noticed. I read an article recently. It said that your marketing messages need to be seen something like 15 or 17 times before you get noticed. And years ago, it was 7 times, then it was 12 times. But now it's getting more and more difficult to really rise above the crowd and stand out. Here's the other reality, which I find so interesting. The fact is, consumers are already looking for you. The challenge today is that they can't find you. Now, part of this is related to what I just talked about, competition, but it's also about the media or the mediums they use to find products and services. The other thing is you're probably getting a lot of information on how to market your business, but don't know what to do first, where to begin, and we're going to help you with that. There are a billion places online you can drive traffic to for your website, or that you can use to drive traffic to your website. But the question is, which are important for you to be included on or listed in order to get, again, the biggest bang for the buck and attract the right audience to you or your offer. The other thing, especially when it comes to local search, SEO, search engine optimization, Google, it's all about get on Google, it's all about Google. The question is, what does that mean exactly, and how do you, quote-unquote, get on Google? And we're going to show you how to do that today so that your effort really goes a long way, as opposed to spending, thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on SEO that really doesn't produce results. All right, so today we're going to unravel the maze to increasing sales and showing you the easiest way to build your business fast through local search and a couple of other things that we've sprinkled in here. Here are some trends you need to be aware of. Today there are over 3 billion local searches happening each and every month online, specifically on Google. And this is people searching for products, services, so on and so forth. Now, 46% of all searches that are happening on search engines like Google are local. What does that mean? That means I'm looking for products and services, maybe even companies in my local area. And we're going to talk about the nuances of local search, because in many instances, you don't even need to enter a town or a location, and you will receive local search results. 76% of Americans use local search to find local businesses, and 87% of us have replaced the phone book with searching online. I can tell you personally, I still do have the phone book at home, but I think I've used it once in the last few years. And this is more the case, and we're going to show you why that is. Right, so 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, I would argue, people would get their yellow pages once a year, and they'd look for information on a pretty regular basis. Today and every day, what are we doing? We're going online, we're checking our cell phones, we're using the iPad. We are looking for information constantly, and it's not just a basic business listing. We want to see photos, videos, we want to see products, menus, services. We want to see if there's special offers, events, who are the owners of the businesses, so on and so forth. So it's a pretty dramatic change that we've seen. What else has changed? Well, marketing needs to be a one-way communication, you to the customer. I was in corporate marketing for 15 years, and for the most part, it was all about our direct mail pieces, our email marketing, our advertising. It was a one-way communication. Now today, it's a two-way dialogue. What do I mean by that? Well, customers and really anybody who wants to listen to them has access to the conversation, because people are talking about your business, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, review sites, blogs, posting pictures. People are talking about you, and that's created a significant change in this marketing dynamic in terms of growing your business. All right, so what are your options? Well, there's the familiar options. You can do some traditional marketing and advertising, yellow pages, newspapers, flyers or postcards, pay-per-click, magazine advertising, billboards, television, radio. These are all the traditional types of marketing activities. And the problem is, not only are they costly, but they're not as effective as they once were. The real question you have to answer yourself is, where do most of your customers search for you? And I say here on the slide, where do they search for you online? Because predominantly, that's where they're searching. So where online are they looking for you? And the answer is Google. Now, Google comes in many shapes and forms. And I think for me, especially having such a focus in the area of organic search, this is what has changed so significantly. Google has changed and evolved, and the way or the device that people use to find you and access information has changed as well. And this is really creating a sea change in the area of organic search. Okay, how Google delivers you customers. Now, this is pretty basic information, and I'm sure many or most of you would be familiar with this, but essentially there are three ways. The first is organic. That big red box in the middle is organic results. It usually comes under paid listings, as well as on the right-hand column. And this is something I know, Greg, you've spent a lot of time working with, and you've seen a lot of changes and evolution there. We could probably do a presentation just on Google AdWords, right? But organic is one, paid is the other, obviously top right-hand side, and then the third, which I think is really more dominant than it's ever been before, which is really geared towards this idea of local search, is Google Places and Google Maps. And we're going to dive deep into this so you can see really how to make the most of it. Now, on the right-hand side here, you see a heat map. This is essentially a way to see where people are looking at a given web page. And what's highlighted here, the really bright burning yellow, is a Google Places result. This person did a search. They got a number of listings on the page. They got something called a 7-pack, which changes, but essentially it's a listing from Google Places. And 80% of clicks happen on the first page. And this is something that more and more data has come out on as it relates to organic search. You want to be on the first page. 50% of clicks happen now on the first 3 listings. But, and the reason for this image, the dynamic of those top listings has changed. It used to be simply just listings of websites. Now, it's many other things, including these local listings, these local business listings that you see with Google Places and other sites, which we're going to, again, kind of delve into. Also, the listings are more dynamic today. It's not just that static web page, it's a video, it's images. Of course, there's text, but there's other information that's appearing on that search result page, and that leads to a click, essentially, faster than a traditional result. And this has been the evolution of organic search over quite some time. And the question is, as a business, how do you take advantage of that? And this is a startling statistic. 90% of businesses have an unclaimed Google Places listing. Now, Google Places is the directory that Google has spent millions and millions of dollars building that includes listings of businesses. And out of, let's say, 100 people on today's call, 90, imagine 90 out of 100 haven't gone out and claimed their listing. And that has a number of negative effects on your website, your organic ranking, so on and so forth. And we're going to talk, specifically about what's involved with claiming that listing, but the takeaway here is if you haven't claimed a Google Places listing, you need to think about doing that.
And here's a question I'm sure a lot of people are going to have. What does Google charge for that listing?
Yeah, good question, Greg. So Google itself doesn't charge you a fee. However, the challenge is that of the people who do have Google Places listings, as you know, Greg, from the work that we've done, I would say probably 80% of the people who have claimed their listings haven't done it correctly. Unfortunately, there's a science associated with not necessarily filling out the listing, but optimizing it in a way that's going to get it to show up over other listings. And, I guess the answer to your question, Greg, is it's free, but, you kind of get what you pay for. All right, so as a small business, the best option, as I mentioned, is to start with Google Places. Why Google Places? Well, as we talked about earlier, most searches are done at the local level, and this is where Google is pulling its results from. And you have to be in the directory where Google is pulling the listings from, or you're not going to show up. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is that most consumers who search online follow up with some type of action. Now, here I say in-store transaction. The reality is there's study after study that says someone who searches locally or does a search at a local level, something like 83% will take an action. That could be visiting a website, calling a phone number, filling out a form, so on and so forth. Essentially, we're saying they're more active in terms of prospects. Google spent millions of dollars to develop the local platform, and the reality is search results are including this information. And again, if you're not listed, you're not going to get that traffic. With the right actions, local businesses and even national businesses that I work with are leveraging the concept of local search to achieve a top position. Because what a lot of people won't tell you is that being optimized correctly on local search will support your organic results, meaning you can actually rank higher with your organic listings by having listings on these other local search engines. All right, let's take a look at how people search. And, think about your own search behavior. Don't take my word for it. Chances are you used to sit behind a desk. You did everything from your computer. Now you're on the go. And you may be working on your computer in your car, as I sometimes do, before a meeting. Or you may be using your iPad or your mobile device. I recently purchased another tablet. So there are lots of ways to search, and the most popular and the fastest growing is mobile. It's so easy now that people are taking phones out of their pockets and searching for everything, everyone, everywhere. Let's talk about Google Places and mobile. Now, when a searcher, a browser does some type of search, in many instances, they don't even have to enter a city because Google knows where you are. And some of you may have even seen, sometimes there's like a little message that comes up and it says, is it okay for Google to, identify your location? All right. The other thing to think about, too, is that, see if we can get this going here, mobile is really pulling in local search results. 9 times out of 10, regardless of what platform you are on with regard to your mobile device, it's actually favoring local search over national search. And that's something that kind of happens behind the scenes, but that's really the most significant dynamic that's changing. And you can see here, even with the image, the number of searches and search visits happening via smartphones is growing at an exponential rate, where desktop growth is minimal. And almost 40% of all searches now come from Google, as many as 63% or 67%, 2/3 have some type of local intent, which is a word that gets tossed around a lot. And mobile search is going to eclipse desktop search in the next year to 2 years. And that shouldn't be surprising for those of you who search with your mobile device. All right, now here's the question. How can you get ahead of your customers and make it to the first page of Google for local search? And again, we're not just talking about small and medium-sized businesses. Even large businesses really need to be thinking about the local search component, because this is how the consumer is searching today. Here's how.
Hey,
Mike, yeah, go ahead, Greg.
So this is McKay, actually. So we've got a few questions coming in about how to optimize Google Plus Local. Are you going to get into that in the presentation, or do you want to address that now or after? People saying, okay, how do we actually optimize this Google Plus Local, Google Places thing?
Absolutely, perfect timing, because that's really the next set of slides. So
right.
let's dive into that. And as always, McKay, as I offer to your customers, if they have any questions and they want to learn more, they can always contact us. I'd be happy to help them. The first step is to understand Google's algorithm. And what I mean by that is Google algorithm is really all about quality. And the more quality content you have on site, the more quality websites linking into your website, you're always going to do better in Google. Now, of course, I'm oversimplifying. I have a large team here that does nothing but SEO for companies on a daily basis. There are 200 ranking factors. It's much, much more complicated than that. But the basic aspect of the algorithm is quality, and you want to make sure that you have quality content on your site. It's expansive. It's being updated on a regular basis, and other quality sites are linking to you. All right, so that's the umbrella. The next step is to claim your Google Places profile. All you need to do is go to Google and type Google Places for Business, and it will give you access to Google Places. All right, and when you get there, you need to keep a number of things in mind to really optimize that listing. Now, I'm going to talk about optimization in a general sense because, again, just like anything else, it can be a little overwhelming and confusing, but essentially your business information needs to be correct and accurate. You're going to fill out a bunch of questions about your business, and then it just doesn't go online. Google's actually going to send you a postcard to verify that you're an actual business. If you're an entrepreneur and you're using a P.O. box, Google won't let you verify it. If you're trying to say the name of the business is one thing, but the address is something else, it won't let you verify it. You have to use common sense and basic information to fill out this platform. The other thing you have to keep in mind are, the areas you service, keywords associated with your account, so on and so forth. The other thing is, in addition to your Google Places for Business profile, which is your business listing, you must or should open a Google Plus account which is different. Google Plus is really the social media network associated with Google, and tie that to your listing. Then what you need to do in order to get your Google Places listing to start showing up and have some authority is generate some reviews for your business. And then the last piece, which we're going to talk about now, is to create those quality inbound links to both your Google Places profile and other assets that you own. Because Google's not just looking at Google Places before it returns a result. Remember, it's scouring the web. All right, and that's what kind of makes this a little more complicated. But at a basic level, understand that you got to have some quality content. You have to claim your Google Places profile. You need to optimize that listing using your keywords, making sure all your information is correct, verifying your Google Places account, opening a Google Plus account, which you can do from within Google Places, generate reviews, and create citations. All right, let's learn quickly a little bit more about the algorithm. Google's algorithm is based on quality votes. The more quality votes or inbound links that you get, the higher your ranking. And on the organic side, votes are counted based on the quality of the links coming from other sites. I'd rather have 3 or 4 quality links than thousands of links from worthless or unscrupulous websites. And essentially, more quality websites link to, let's say, Site B than Site A, with everything being equal, then Site B is going to be the choice that Google's going to display in search results. Now, this is different, and this really, McKay, kind of speaks to some people's questions. It's a little different for local, but I wanted you to have kind of that general sense, not just with, I know we talked a little bit about Google Places, but I want you to have this, general sense about how Google works so you can appreciate the local aspect. Let's talk about each of these in detail. Essentially, on the local side and Google Places, Google looks for votes based on something called citations. Essentially, the web is so massive and so big, Google said, you know what, instead of trying to tabulate all of these votes, what we're going to do is we're going to rely on some basic factors to determine how important different businesses are to different search queries. All right? A citation is essentially your business contact information that's located on another website. And the more websites that are displaying your basic business information, the more votes you get. Now, the key here, and this is really one of the takeaways that I want everybody listening today to bring with them, is that when you list your business information on a different website and point back to your website or your Google Places listing, those citations, those business listings need to be consistent. This is so important, and this is another thing that people just aren't talking about today, but I can tell you 100% of the time it matters. When we work with clients, I see this time and time again. So each site must list your information identically, and that content really needs to be interacted with or engaged with through reviews. Let me give you a quick example. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it's important. Let's say the name of your company is ABC Company. That's not the same as ABC Company, LLC. 153 Main Street is not the same as 153 Main Street, spelled out. 609, 123, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same as that second number you see there that's not using, parentheses. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that the nuance of this is very delicate because Google is a computer, and that computer is going out and it's looking at all these third-party sites, and instead of saying your business is listed here, 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 and here, it's saying, well, I see it on this site. I don't see it on this site because it's misspelled. I don't see it on this site because the phone number is slightly different. I don't see it over here, and as a result, you're not showing up as high as you should in search results. And this is kind of a visual. I'll save you guys some time. If you look at version B that only gets 1 vote, the difference is that third Ave is spelled differently. In the first example, under example B, it says your business, the number 3, RD Ave, and to the right of that, it says third, THIRD. Google sees these as being different, and as a result, you're not getting the value you should. So essentially, how does it work? How do you get ranked in local search? Well, Google goes out, they search all these third-party sites like yellowpages.com, citysearch.com, Yelp if you're a restaurant or some other service business, so on and so forth, and they're looking for your information. And as they do, they're going to find all these things. They're going to find that the information is inconsistent, it's wrong, it's expired, it's partially correct, or maybe incomplete. And unfortunately, it doesn't really give you the value or the votes you need to rank well for your listing. And that's why people really in local search struggle, and they don't understand why their rankings are going down, especially as they take advantage of all of these citation and third-party websites. All right, so what's the solution? If we know that the goal is to claim our Google Places profile, make sure it's optimized, verify it, get people engaged, how do we do that? And there are essentially two ways to do this. The first way, which I call the hard way, is to go out to, there are approximately 200 sites that Google aggregates data from, and you can go and register at each and every one of these sites. Submit your business information, but again, you need to do that identically. You need to make sure, even though their forms are different, that things are being entered exactly the same. And then some allow you to add expanded information, and that could include business hours, products, services, pictures of your business, bios, so on and so forth. And then the complication is you now have to go out and update that information on an almost, I would say, every other week basis, but basically once a month. You need to be going out there and updating some of that information in order to show Google that you're active with your account. And in many instances, there's opportunity to create an expanded listing for your business, and that needs to be completed. And that means using the right keywords. You know, if your business is, let's say you're a chiropractor, well, you need to be using terms related to chiropractic care, because that's essentially what's going to help with that optimization algorithm. Create the correct message. You know, Google today, not only do they look at what you say about yourself, but they look at click-through rates. Even if you get your company's listing to show up, if people aren't clicking on the result within Google, you're going to drop in terms of search results. So essentially you have to create the correct messages, you know, and optimize from a traditional SEO perspective. The other thing, too, is that just because you go and submit to these, you know, data sites, there's no guarantee that they're going to take and publish your information. That's one of the travesties, is that you could make all of this effort and do everything perfectly right, but the data source doesn't have to take your data. And in fact, what we've seen, and Greg and I have seen this recently, is that some of these data sites are using feeds from other data sources and basically giving that priority, and in many instances won't list your data. And you know, just kind of looking at the math, right? 200 sites takes about 20 minutes to fill out the information. You could be spending 4,000 minutes or about 66 hours a month doing nothing but citations. And again, you know, it may or may not help based on the accuracy of the data and ultimately how well optimized it is. And you know, that's time that you can spend doing other things related to your business instead of focused on SEO. Now, here's the question, is it worth it? Now, many of you might be thinking, well, no. Well, I would argue it absolutely is. But the question is, how can you do it more efficiently and effectively without spending 66 hours a month? And in fact, a number of my clients have people that do this kind of work. In other words, they hire somebody on staff, and they're spending basically, you know, a better portion of the month working on local optimization. Maybe they're doing some social media, blogging, some other things. But personally, I believe that there are more efficient ways to get this done. All right, now the reason why I say yes, and Greg, I know you and I talk about this all the time, the reason why this is worth the investment is because you're getting people at the exact moment when they're looking to make a buying decision. When I pull out my mobile phone, a great example is I had a rock come up and hit my windshield the other day. I wanted it fixed right away. I went to my cell phone. And on my cell phone, I typed in windshield repair. And those results, out of those top results, that's where I chose someone to call. These are the best customers to get, the local customers. And really, as a business, I know for my business, I do everything I can to make sure that I'm in front of that buyer at the moment they're making a buying decision. And that's what makes local search so valuable. But there's an easier way to make all of this happen. The easy way is to use something called a data aggregator. And a good data aggregator has established relationships with Google's most important data sources. So the places where Google, in addition to their own directory, is pulling information from. And what's great about the data aggregator is that they create all the accounts, they submit all the data for you, they even create expanded profiles allowing you to add additional information about your business out there on the web, and they resubmit that content on a regular basis. Really all the things that Google's looking for. And then goes out and says, Google, hey, we just updated the information, you need to integrate this into your algorithm. And essentially, if you use a data aggregator, it's once and done. You set it, you forget about it, not in an absolute sense, because like I said, you want to make sure that this data aggregator is submitting the most up-to-date information about your business. But essentially, you can focus on your business, and the data aggregator really spends their time focused on optimizing your listing. Now, I'm actually going to give you some information on data aggregation, if you will, in just a few minutes. But before we jump to that, I want to talk about one other piece that's really, really important to not only local search, but building your business. And you know, the question is, now that you understand kind of what it takes to get your business ranked and you're getting that exposure and you're out there, what's next? Here's the reality. As you start to show up more in local search, even national search, and improve your rankings, you're going to get more people talking about you. Remember in the beginning we talked about the two-way communication, and this is something that a lot of people forget, and unfortunately they forget until it's too late. I know as a business, we get the calls after the fact when someone says, oh, people are talking about me online and they said something really negative. How can we get rid of that? And we call that reputation management. But what Greg and I like to talk about is reputation marketing. How do we help control the conversation out there as we start to get noticed? And that's what we're going to spend just a few minutes talking about. This is the other aspect. Google uses these social signals, whether it's reviews, whether it's links from third-party websites, social media, all of those pieces to help determine your organic rankings. And reviews are growing in importance. Even more important than the reviews themselves are sometimes where the reviews are located. And again, we talked about all these sites that Google relies on for data and information. Real easy, what are reviews? The way I like to think about them, they're votes for your business. And think about you know, Google's interest in publishing votes or publishing comments about your business. It's really improving the user experience. So votes help customers make decisions, which is good for the customer. It helps Google rank your listing appropriately, and votes ultimately result in traffic or lack thereof. I know, Greg, you like to talk about, which Greg reminded me of, having no reviews is as bad as having, you know, negative reviews. Because if you're looking for a new restaurant or a doctor and you see someone with, let's say, 3.5 out of 5 stars, but they have 50 reviews, you know that people are using them. If you're a business and you have no reviews and you've done nothing to collect reviews, people are going to stay away, and that's lost business.
Yep, and I call it, it's the trust factor. You know, the consumer doesn't know whether I can trust you. I mean, imagine going to eBay and someone is selling a $500 iPhone that you would like to buy, but they have zero feedback. You're going to say, I don't trust that person. Why would I go there? There's a lot of other people who do have reviews, so it's important.
Absolutely. Okay, now why is that? Why are there companies out there without reviews? And the answer is because you definitely probably know the importance of having people talk about your business, but you're afraid of what they're going to say. And if you're a small or medium-sized business, just having one or a few negative reviews can really have a detrimental impact on your business. And having no reviews is just as bad as having a negative review. The challenge, and something that we're working to solve and have solved in many instances, is that companies don't have a system to collect and manage reviews. As a result, a lot of companies are reactive to reviews as opposed to proactive. And another thing too, Greg, that we had talked about that you shared with me is, if let's say you're at a party and there are only 2 people and someone shouts really loud, everybody's going to hear it. Even though the audience is small, it gets heard. If you're at a party with hundreds or thousands of people and someone screams, you're not going to hear it, or you're not going to hear it to the same extent. So the goal is to be proactive, not reactive, when it comes to setting on reviews. All right, so what's the truth about online reviews? A negative review is going to happen no matter what. Even if you're the best business in the world, at some point someone's going to say something negative about your business. The answer is to have a bunch of positive reviews and positive content so that when a negative review does happen, the effect is minimal. Right? And this is what I just talked about, that having a negative review in a sea of 100 reviews really means little or nothing, but having one negative review out of 1 could be really detrimental to your business. All right, what should you do? Again, let's kind of look at the different ways that we could manage this. The hard way, like I said, go out, create your Google Places account for your business, ask customers to leave you a review each time that you have an interaction with somebody. Give them the URL or just ask them to go out there online and leave a review on Google Places, and then cross your fingers and hope for the best. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of companies don't have a lot of reviews, because that's a big risk. Someone may say to you, oh yeah, I had a great experience, and then they go out there and they leave a negative review, and that's next to impossible to get rid of once it's there. In some situations, it can be contested, it can be removed, but in many situations, once a negative review is left, the damage is not only there or fleeting, it is around for a very, very long time. Here's the easy way. Here's the solution in terms of how I have found to best manage reviews. And that's to implement an automated review system, where essentially you collect the reviews first within your business, and then you decide which ones go public. And what this allows is for customers to submit reviews on your website before going to a third-party review. And often what I find, especially with companies that have negative reviews, is one of the things they never did was give customers a place, a neutral place, or a place more subjective, a place that they own to complain and have that dialogue and make a post and say I'm unhappy. And because they couldn't find that resource associated with the company or the business, they went out to all of these other sites and left negative reviews. The other thing to do is to make sure that if someone does have something positive to say, that they are immediately redirected to either Google Places, Yelp, other popular review sites, because you want them to spread that information. And when you collect these negative reviews, you want to make sure that negative reviews are suppressed, meaning they don't get published online, but they are responded to. You know, some of the business we do is training small businesses on how to respond to negative reviews, because generally they tend to ignore them, when in fact responding to them can really go a long way. And the end result is only positive reviews are seen out there on the web, not just by prospective customers, but by Google. And that in turn helps with this larger picture of local search and search engine optimization. All right, so this is, I'm going to show you this application, and the reason I'm doing this is, regardless of what tool you use, these are the components that you should make sure are included when it comes to managing your own reviews. Now, this happens to be an example just for our business, and again, I'm using this for illustrative purposes, but what you want to do is create a dedicated review site to push your customers to. That's, like I said, one of the most important things you can do. You want to make sure that when they get there, they know that it's for you and your business, that you're not doing other things like advertising somebody else's products or trying to promote with Google Ads. You want to have your information very clearly stated on your review site. And you also want to, let people know that you are engaging, give them access to social media, a link to your website. If it is on your website, that you want to point them to pages where they can get additional information. So that's one of the most important things. And of course, you want to optimize it. I know today, if you do a search for some of our clients, their search engines show up naturally in organic results. So that gives them another position, if you will, on page 1 of Google that they control and manage. It's great for reputation. The second thing is, again, regardless of what tool you use, always, always, always ask for a customer rating first. Now, this is where a lot of companies go wrong. They'll actually put up a place where people can leave reviews, but they'll ask them to leave a review and submit it. And at some point, they're asking, on a 5-point scale, what do you think of us? We always ask for their rating first. Why? Well, we're doing that because we want to make sure that if it's a negative review, we do something with it. And if it's a positive review, we do something else with it. So always rate first. If the rating is below what I consider a positive threshold, and let's say that positive threshold is 3 stars or maybe fewer than 3 stars, let's say they give us 2 stars, then we want to take them on a different path. And in our example, what we do is we redirect people to a complaint form, allowing them to basically voice their issue and tell us whether or not they want to be contacted. And, that's essential because that allows us to respond to them. We know specifically what the issue is. We know how they want to hear from us. And that's helping our business a lot more than somebody writing something negative and posting it online. This really gives us an opportunity to mitigate that, make sure it stays off the web, and at the same time respond to the individual who is unhappy or unsatisfied. And it's kept private between us and the customer. And that's essentially what you need to be doing to manage that online reputation. Now, here's the other thing. If there's a positive comment, and we want someone, let's say in this situation they gave us 4 stars, if there's a positive comment, we want them to share that information not just on our forum, but on other authoritative websites. Why? Well, if you've got a lot of reviews on Google Places or Google+, Google's going to acknowledge that, and they're going to improve your ranking based on the number and quality of reviews. And as we mentioned earlier, Google's aggregating information from other authoritative review sites like Super Pages, Yellow Pages, City Search, Yelp, on and on and on and on. All right? So you want to make sure that you're providing links to third-party sites. You are really relying on the authoritative sites. And most importantly, you want to make it easier for the reviewer to leave a review where they're most comfortable. Again, we talked about having a platform for people to share reviews, and this is the way to do it. All right. Now, once somebody has left a positive review, use the power of the Internet to make that work for you. On your confirmation page where you say, hey, thank you for submitting your review and sharing your feedback, ask your customers to share that information. It doesn't have to be difficult. Think about your social media channels, maybe even email. So create some functionality that allows you or allows that customer to easily share. And this is what we do on our platform, because then you're getting the one-to-many, whatever that's called, multiplier, I guess. And it really creates fantastic social referrals to help grow your business. The other aspect here, which is really great too, is I mentioned earned media. One of the things that's really important that a lot of people don't realize, Even when it comes to other marketing initiatives like PR, news, things of that nature, when people are researching your business, oftentimes reviews are showing up themselves, the individual reviews or review pages in search results. And that's a great resource for earned media. And that, in turn, generates more social media. All right, so what did we learn? We learned that there are people looking for you right now, but they probably can't find you. Why? Because you're getting lost in the clutter. As people use more devices, as local search becomes more important, there's more and more clutter out there, and you really need to rise above it. Google's created a platform called Google Places to hand-deliver customers to you on a silver platter. Although, as I said in the very beginning of the presentation, most companies have not claimed their listing. Now you know how important it is, so I encourage you guys to think about how to claim that listing. You have to be on the first page of Google, right? Especially when it comes to your business or your local marketing efforts. Data after data just shows how much more important those top few results are. Listings on the second page don't get much business. So in order to get there, in order to support Google Places, you really have to submit to local search engines. And again, these are the citations, these are the business listings. And what's great about that, just a quick aside, one of our clients, they're a restaurant owner, and when you search in the local area for their restaurant, not only do they have the first result with a website, but they have basically 7 or 8 listings on page 1. Why? Because those listings are coming from all these authoritative sites like Superpages, Yellow Pages, City Search, Yahoo, Bing Local. All of these authoritative sites that are also listing their business. And you have to make sure that you're submitting to these local engines. And you have to do it consistently. NAP stands for name, address, and phone. If you get nothing else right, focus on making sure name, address, and phone are the same exactly across all of these networks. And you can't let customers control reviews for you. You need to take ownership of reviews. So that's all about creating a platform where people can leave reviews. You can, in essence, review those and then decide what you want to do with it. Do you want to push them out to the web? Do you want to encourage people to leave them on authoritative third-party sites? Do you want to respond to them, or do you want to suppress them? All right, so the solution to getting more business through your doors, essentially, is to leverage this concept of local search and reputation management. And that's why Greg and I talk about these things in combination, because it's kind of like washing your front side and washing your back side. And today, a lot of people are out there talking about local search and local search alone, but that exposure causes problems if you don't plan accordingly. So you really have to focus on both aspects. The first aspect is be found. Be where people are already searching, and you can do that using a data aggregator. It saves a lot of time, it ensures accuracy, and ultimately helps you springboard your results in local search. Then once you're there, you have to maintain your presence. You have to go through regular updates, and that's an important thing to work with your data aggregator on, which is ensuring that they are resubmitting to Google. And as you have updates to your business, your hours change, your description changes, you're offering new products, new services, new people at the management level. All of that is being reflected and pushed out to those local search engines. And then finally, control your reputation. And the best way to control it is to have a platform that allows you to encourage reviews and manage those appropriately. And my, I guess, where I lean is to automate that process, or as much of that process as possible. As I mentioned, some people, they hire a full-time individual to do this, but there's technology out there that really helps to manage this stuff effectively. So if you want, you can take the time to do it yourself. And, we talked about 60 or 66 hours a month just on the local search submission side, and then you have reviews. And when you do that, you have to research your target keywords and obviously focus on those that are most relevant to your business. Go out, create a Google Places page, optimize it, and make sure it's verified. Then create the Google Plus account. And remember, you can do that from within your Google Places listing. but you want to make sure it's tied for your business to that Google Places listing. Optimize the listing, submit and resubmit every month to the leading local search engines. Again, these are the third-party sites that are going to support your Google Places listing and your organic listing. Update the information frequently, and then track the results. And I can't emphasize tracking enough. You want to make sure that your data is accessible and it's present and people are getting to it. So to me, this is the hard way. My time is valuable, so I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this. I want to leverage technology and resources that can make it a lot more efficient. So you can let us do it for you, and that's really the initiative behind Place Local, is leveraging people and technology to, in essence, do a lot of that work, if not all of that work for you, so that we can research the keywords that are most relevant for your business, create that Google Places page in a way that's optimized and verified, link that Google Plus account, optimize your listing on both Google as well as local search engines, submit to the top partner sites. So we, in essence, are a data aggregator. We have direct relationships with more than 40 of the top or most influential sites. We have access to all 200, but we know which sites are more important to Google than others. So that's where our predominant focus is. We know how to update that content on a regular basis so that Google sees new, fresh, relevant content, and we track results. So that's really the benefit of using a data aggregator, someone who can, again, leverage people and technology to make sure that your listing is keeping up with Google and the Google algorithm. That allows you to sit back and relax, and more importantly, focus on your business. Now, here's the thing. This is what you're going to find with data aggregators. I don't think this is unique to us. Maybe this aspect is, but we don't accept everybody. And the reason is, we've seen really great results, especially when we're focused on targeted areas. And as a result, we can really only take 1 or 2 businesses per niche because we don't want to compete against ourselves. That would make it really difficult. So we don't accept everybody. We like to look at your business and really understand what your goals and objectives are online. And the other thing is you can't hire us today. And I say that because we go through a pretty lengthy process to make sure that we can help you. We only take companies that we can help and provide results for. So now that I've gotten all that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about what we offer, what it costs, what you can expect, because whether you use us or someone else, you're going to want to understand really what you're getting into and what you get for your investment. So we call this the market domination package, but essentially it's what we've been talking about. It's setting up your Google Places account, making sure that's optimized and reflective of your business, linking that to a Google Plus page, again, making sure that each of those are verified so that you're in the Google Business Listing Directory. Complete citation setup, we create essentially a web card where we collect and optimize all of your information, and then that information is distributed to these leading local search engines really to help get that exposure and create that inbound value to both your Google Places listing and website. And then we focus on reviews and creating this custom review site for you. And this is really one of the most helpful things because using that platform, it really now helps you encourage reviews from your customers without concern or worry that they're going to go out there and leave a negative review. So we develop that site. We give you access to that engine, obviously. We optimize it. And we make sure that the process is such so that as you publish positive reviews, you're really getting that multiplier effect. And we also go through that with you. We train you on it. We have a number of customers that have outsourced the whole thing to us, so we're actually moderating reviews, although we like to empower business owners to do that on their own so that they can make the right decision. The other thing is we have full account management, so as your business changes and you want to make updates to your account, to your business information as that needs to get distributed across the web, we can do that for you. Now, normally, we charge a setup fee of over $1,000. about $600 a month, but in a minute I'm going to show you how you can save quite a bit of money. So the goal here with the domination package, as I mentioned earlier, is to help you on the front side as well as the back side to get that exposure and then manage what people are saying about you. All right, so here's what we're going to do, and you know, McKay graciously mentioned earlier about Log My Calls. We've got a great relationship with McKay and his team, and what we're doing here is anyone who has registered for the webinar, who orders within the next 48 hours, who contacts us, we're going to discount our fees. So in addition to discounting our fees, we're going to give you some really cool bonuses. The first is we have a review package that gives you all the tools you need to solicit reviews from your customers. So what we like to say is you should get 10 reviews within the first 7 days, 20 reviews which in the first 30 days. And we give you the tools to do that: email templates, postcard templates, table tents, flyers, all those materials. We're also giving you access to a great course, 11 Deadly Mistakes Businesses Make with Their Websites. The other thing that Greg and I see on a pretty regular basis, there's some very simple things that you could do to your website if you have one that'll increase conversions and really get a lot more value from each and every visitor. And then finally, you know, instead of that $1,000 startup fee or $1,100 startup fee, we're giving those who act quickly $899 startup fee that includes the entire first month of services. And the reason why that's a little more is because we need to do all that research. We need to do the keyword research, collect the assets, optimize them, create the web cards, interact with our distribution partners, that data aggregation piece, to make sure that not only do they receive your information, that it gets published. So there's a lot involved really in that first month. And then only $499 a month thereafter. All right, so here's how to get started. And again, this is not something you can buy today. I wanted to give you a sense of what something like this would cost. We want you to apply. We need to know about your business. We need to know if we can help you. We need to understand what you've tried in the past and where you are today. So you can go to placedlocal.com/apply and fill out a basic questionnaire. Now that's really going to help us understand who you are as a business and how we can help you. All right? So that's the first step. The next step is if you are a qualifying business, if you're somebody that we feel that we can help through local search optimization and reputation management, we will go ahead and notify you. And then after we notify you, we're going to set up a consultation, again, to dive deeper, review your information, fill in any gaps. Then we're going to get started. So we go ahead, we aggregate all that content, we build your Google Places and Google Plus profiles, we distribute the information to all of our partners, those local search engines, and we make sure that's done consistently and correctly. And within as little as 48 hours, your information starts appearing on these really authoritative local search sites. At the same time, we're going to start with your review engine. That takes a little time to build, but generally, you know, within 2 to 3 weeks, we have that up and running. We take you through a short session. It takes about 15, 20 minutes to see how to use that, and then you can start collecting those reviews from your customers. And then all you have to do is sit back, watch your customers come in, moderate those reviews, and you're really going to start to see some significant results. So, you know, don't delay. Take action today. The key is to go out there and apply. Tell us about your business. Tell us what your biggest marketing concerns and issues are, and we can address those and help you. So, all right, with that said, Greg, I don't know, do you have any questions or anything to add?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. First of all, thank you for that, Mike. You did a fantastic job in explaining. Guys, I hope you really see the passion that we have in working with local businesses. This is what we do. I've actually been working with local businesses since 1997. Mike and I really understand what your needs are, and we understand how to make that happened for you. I don't know, Mike, do you want to talk about a couple of the success stories for some of our clients that we're working with?
Sure, definitely. And, I think the most important thing is it really runs the gamut. So, we talked about small, medium, large businesses. On the large business side, we work with a national company that is really a direct-to-consumer company. And the reason why they're working with us is because they spend a lot of money on TV advertising. And when people Google the product name, negative reviews were coming up. And when I asked them, if somebody has feedback, where do they leave it? Their first answer was, oh, we don't have any place for them to leave feedback. And that's why the customer review site was such a great solution for them, so that they could proactively solicit reviews and then, more importantly, publish positive reviews. And that was really the key. We also have, small businesses. I'm trying to think, maybe the smallest one is a bagel shop that we do business with. And the bagel shop is competing with 3 other bagel shops in the area. They didn't even have a website. What did we do? We went out. We used these third-party local search engines like Yelp, Foursquare, so on and so forth, to really create an optimized profile so that when people search for bagels in the area, they're coming up first, and they're coming up first with photos, Foursquare, other third-party sites. Recently, we worked with them to create a video, so we're going to get the video listed. Because like I said, sometimes it's not just about being in that first spot or having a listing. It's really leveraging these local search platforms and local search applications to have multiple listings on a page. That's really where you score big. I don't know, Greg, any others? Maybe the attorney. We recently did some work for an attorney. He's in the area of personal injury, very competitive market. Some people are dealing with not just personal injury, but other forms of law in addition to personal injury. It can be overwhelming, and the search results are overwhelming. And in those situations, again, we can create expanded information out there on the web, and as a result, when you search for personal injury in a given area, he's going to come up, and it's not just a single listing, it's multiple listings, and then people who he's actually worked with can leave reviews. And it's so important, not just in terms of managing the reviews themselves, but building up positive assets like reviews on these local search engines. Because today, that's what Google is depending on to understand which websites are authoritative and essentially need or require or should get the most votes and therefore the better ranking in search results.
And Michael, this is McKay again. We've got a ton of questions. What if I did this? What if I had people, what I'll do is I'll send you the questions that people are asking about this stuff and their email addresses so you can reach out to those people individually. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I would say too, McKay, which is so important for everybody listening, this is complicated. I mean, I try to simplify it. I like people to come away with some information that they can act on. It's complicated because Google's evolving and changing, and this whole concept, even of local search and reputation management, it's really just come about in the last 18 months to 2 years, and it continues to evolve and change. So if they don't understand it right off the bat, that's okay. That's why we developed Place Local. That's why we offer a variety of services, and ultimately that's why I'm here to help small and medium-sized businesses, even larger businesses, kind of make hay out of this and use it to their advantage.
That's awesome. Well, the content was awesome today. We honestly really appreciate it, and everyone on the call. We've gotten really good feedback during this webinar from everybody that enjoyed the content and found it extremely useful. So, like you said, this is something that affects tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of businesses across the U.S. and Canada, and it's a big deal. So, Michael, Greg, honestly, thank you guys so much for taking the time. We know you're busy, especially this time of year. Everybody's busy, so we appreciate it. And everybody, just so you know, this webinar recording will be sent out to you tomorrow morning, bright and early. And Michael, Greg, I'll get those questioners, the email addresses of them to you, so you can actually reach out to them individually and answer those questions. So guys, any last words before we close up?
Well, I would just like to say thank you so much to McKay and Log My Calls. We appreciate it. Happy holidays to everyone, and thank you so much.
Thanks,
thank you.
Guys. Have a good day.